and is close to its entire annual output.
Let's bring into this discussion, keep that story running for you. Pete McGuire, Chief Market Economist and Strategist at NG Farrer. Pete, warm welcome to you.
Good morning, Carson.
G7 currencies headlining inside the FT this morning, front page no less. Some begging to differ whether we can label it a currency war. The former chairman of Swiss National Bank, now chairman of BlackRock, saying these are domestic rights, legal mandates to do so. Don't get carried away with all that kind of verbiage. What do you make?
Well, I agree, Carson. Good morning, Brooke. I think the major reason now that's really caused a little bit of turbulence out there would have to be Japan's stance on this whole issue. And we've seen the Japanese have a concerted effort to say what their agenda is, and we've seen that demonstrated by the value of the yen. Now, remembering that the euro was at 150 and it tanked all the way through to about 124 in the best part of 12 to 14 months from May of last year. So people are, you've just got to get used to those large volatility swings, and they're very evident that we've seen in bond prices and, of course, with equities and commodities. So I just think it's really the status quo. That's what happens in markets, and there's no more than that. If you look at oil prices from 150 to 32 in 13 weeks, talk about volatility. So we're seeing that demonstrated across currencies.
Do you extend that argument into gold? Because the naysayers say historically over 300 years there's precedent for it to gap lower very fast, no warning.
We weren't here together 300 years ago.
No, we were here 3 years ago, though. So, putting it into context, what have you judged in that space of time? What have you learned from it?
Well, I know that it hit 1927, and there was all talk that we were going to see through 2000. There are we've seen a very, very strong uptick since that period of time in the equities. And with our market now at 5,000, which is wonderful for the retail and, of course, for general confidence in the market, probably it's having a bit of a breather. What's also interesting is that platinum's certainly overtaken it to the best part of $50 or $60 an ounce. And I think that it's just having that so-called breather. It's hard to put a direction on it. I wouldn't be surprised to see it move to the upside again. And it
Even
just
with
takes a
equity
little bit of time.
markets so buoyant. Money just all goes there, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I think that you probably see that the market will become exhausted one day. I don't know when, Brooke, maybe the S&P. I didn't think it would be at 15, 15, 15, 20 this early in the year. I don't think anyone really thought that. I was thinking, the best part of 15, 20 to say 15, 40 by end of year, but it's certainly ahead of the curve. I think you will see a spike in gold, but it's just going to take some time.
It's so refreshing to hear from a lone dissenter around the table at the FOMC. Overnight, Esther George, the lone dissenter, saying, if anything, warning about contributing to inflation, the Fed. If it keeps this accommodative policy there for too long, it defeats the whole prospect of encouraging economic growth. It becomes almost counterintuitive.
Well, it does, and it's a continuance, and we've discussed that. I think I'll be a very old man. They'll be still stimulating economies. There's no way forward, and the unemployment numbers are quite harrowing when you look at it globally. So the reality, are the robots going to do the work of humans? And it looks as though it's certainly increasing with new technologies and innovation. We need to develop things, and that's what that's the whole reason of being. We need to have new technologies or new innovations come forward.
Let's apply that into wheat and Australia, because it seems that we're not measuring up. We've got less protein in our products.
Yeah, we're still the second largest exporter in the world, and it was probably some had to do with the very hot summer that we've had, which impacted. We didn't see any real downturn as far as crop acreage, and that was strong. So we didn't damage crop, but certainly the protein count wasn't as strong as what we had anticipated. And that rolling across to the US farmers, they've had a bumper since really 2006, 2005, with huge prices when you think of soybeans, corn, wheat. And the USDA over there is saying that this year will be a bumper as far as harvest, but next year we're going to see quite a strong correction to all of those prices to the downside. So that's going to be interesting how that plays forward.
Because of cost biting?
Cost biting, and also, Brooke, it's run out of it's run its race. Yeah. And it was only a few years ago we were, saying, corn's at $2 a bushel. Well, it nearly hit $8, or did hit $8. Wheat had a huge jump as well, and so did soy. Soy was trading at $4.50 to $5.50, and then it was trading at $17 or $18. So that ethanol debate seems to have abated a little bit. Crude oil, and you roll that across to Saudi. So it's a very interesting tale at the moment.
biggest thing you're watching for this week as an influence, as a buying signal across the asset classes, be it softs, base metals, you know, what for you could prove a sort of a sleeper?
I'm not. Look, I'm more focused in the equity side. If that continues, it's headlong.
All right, let's get your response on 5,000.
Uptick.
We did that this morning.
Yeah, if it continues to uptick, I think that's where the focus is going to be, and momentum will take it higher. So that's where we're at.
Don't fight the wall of money.
Oh man, you get crushed by it.
Yeah.
So that's where it's coming at the moment. The buyers are out there. You're seeing that evident as far as the US. I wake up at about 4 each morning, looking at the screen, going, "What? It's
How
up
much
again.
of it
It's
is
up
just
again."
a short cover rally. All the naysayers basically on the back foot.
Yeah.
Having to cover those positions.
Sure, but there's still a lot of momentum globally, and there seems to be a lot of buyers out there, and that's what tells you that the market's getting stronger.
Great. Pete McGuire, thank you so
See you,
much from
Brooke.
NG Farah. Appreciate
See you,
it.
Carsten.
We are just coming on to 10 minutes to the top of the hour here on Trading Day. Veda releasing a business credit survey. We'll be joined by Veda to talk about the details after this break.
Plus that psychological level breached in this session, in this very hour. We'll check in with Mike McCarthy to get the next impression on where to next. Stay with us.